First Take.
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
Wow.
All right, we got to go.
Good evening, sports aficionados. Let's recount a recent on-air clash that has reverberated through the sports world. Picture the scene. Stephen A. Smith, a titan of sports commentary, assertively proclaims, "Who talks about the WNBA, who talks about women, who talks about women's sports more than First Take?" Monica McNutt, with her sharp intellect and unyielding candor, responds, "Stephen A., respectfully with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to." In that moment, it seemed as though Stephen A.'s very essence was momentarily adrift, stunned by the blunt force of Monica's truth. Indeed, her critique is unassailable. The coverage of the WNBA on such platforms has been inconsistent at best. Stephen A. appeared taken aback, perhaps unprepared for such direct confrontation in the public eye. This discussion, ideally, would have unfolded away from the spotlight. What individuals like Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe often fail to grasp, or perhaps deliberately overlook, is the complex web of intersectionality affecting the WNBA. The media bias, the harsh realities confronting black women in the league, and the multifaceted nature of their struggle extend far beyond basketball. A seemingly innocuous hip check in the WNBA can ignite a media firestorm, unleashing waves of harassment, racism, and misogyny, starkly contrasting with the relative leniency granted to similar incidents involving white players in predominantly black sports. Stephen A. and Shannon Sharpe are well-versed in discussions on intersectionality and racial biases in sports. Stephen A. in particular frequently references the black male experience to underscore the impact of race on perception. However, their apparent indifference to the plight of black women in the WNBA reveals a disconcerting lack of empathy. Monica McNutt's rebuttal to Stephen A. was a masterclass in incisive commentary. Watch her appearances closely. If they diminish, it will speak volumes about the cost of truth-telling. It is, quite frankly, embarrassing for Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe to feign that their coverage of the WNBA has always been this robust. Kudos to Monica for her fearless candor. As for Shannon, his defense of Stephen A. borders on sycophancy. One might conclude that he paraded his willingness to endure disrespect for a paycheck, which perhaps explains why Skip Bayless felt so comfortable belittling him on air. Given that Stephen A. signs his checks, Shannon's complicity in perpetuating this narrative is hardly surprising. This exchange will be remembered as a defining moment in sports commentary, a clarion call for genuine and sustained advocacy for the WNBA. Hats off to Monica McNutt for her unflinching integrity. Considering the recent debate on media bias and the challenges faced by black women in the WNBA, how can sports journalism evolve to provide more comprehensive and equitable coverage of women's sports?